Welcome back to Under Oath. Now, we've touched on topics where people have walked into rooms and things like that with no damages. We have a case in actually Central Florida. 19-year-old Valencia college student was kidnapped and murdered on September 24th, 2021. She had an apartment complex, and it was the maintenance man.
Absolute tragedy.
Yeah.
The problem is maintenance guys have keys to everybody's apartment.
Yep.
They have to have keys to everybody's
It's their
apartment
job.
because if you call and say, hey, my dishwasher's broken, my refrigerator's, my air, whatever, they have to be able to get into your unit, access it to fix it. So what? Oof. Obviously, the apartment complex has a duty to make sure that their staff are not the type of people who would do this, but I don't know this guy's record, right? But what if he didn't ever do anything like this before? What if he was completely spotless? No criminal background, no felony, not even a speeding ticket. Let's say this guy's just a regular guy and he sees this particular girl and just overcome with lust or envy or whatever it is that drove him to do this. You wouldn't necessarily know that you have that type of employee just from a background check.
You know, we know the law when it deals with a employee, a staff member, or somebody else who commits a criminal act. When you commit a criminal act, the employer, to hold the employer liable, you have to show that he had the ability to know that this person would commit this act.
In Florida, you have to prove that the employee was acting within the course and scope of his employment. Even if an employee does something absolutely awful and terrible to the customer or to the resident, the employer isn't necessarily responsible through vicarious liability. All right. That's one of the ways that you can hold an employer responsible. Like no matter what happened, I can hold you responsible because this guy was your agent and he was acting on your behalf. Right. So if he's putting in a refrigerator and the refrigerator falls over and lands on, a little kid in the kitchen and the kid gets hurt. Okay. Yeah, that's easy. But for this guy to break into a place, wait for the resident to get back and rape and kill her or kidnap her or whatever he did, there's no way to say that it was in the course and scope of employment.
Well, it depends.
So you'd have to rely on another theory, and the other theory would be, listen, you were negligent in the way you stored the access keys. You shouldn't let the maintenance person have unfettered access to anyone's apartment anytime. He should have to sign for it and explain the reason why he needs the key, the time that he's going to be in the apartment, and that way they can alert the people who reside there.
Now, if there are rules on this, let's say they have certain rules, they're going to say, listen, you have to give the homeowner, the apartment owner, the condo owner 24-hour notice. You have to do these certain things. The problem we have in Florida now is there was a new law passed as part of our governor's new I need money from the insurance companies for my presidential campaign. The new law basically says even security, negligent security doesn't even come into play anymore because negligent security, you're going to love this, people. All you have to do is take a class and you're immune from negligent security. A class. Oh, I took the class. So we're immune from it.
Well, it goes,
even if you do nothing.
It goes a step beyond that, too. Even if you're not immune to it. Unknown to the people who are probably watching this is before the tort reform, you would not consider the criminal's liability or a proportion of liability for the crime that was committed on a particular commercial property. So you obviously, if you have security at all, it's because you foresee that the place where you have the security is potentially dangerous to your clients or your customers. So before, it wouldn't matter that the criminal actually committed a criminal act. That's the thing that's expected. Now, the criminal himself is included in the analysis of who's responsible.
So let me explain
how much is the criminal responsible versus how much is the apartment complex responsible.
Yeah, let me explain that out there for our listeners. This is the way this works, and there's a crazy concept about this. Okay, let's say a big theme park employs some guy, and the guy does something heinous. Okay. Well, you got to sue the person who did it, which is the criminal, and Disney or Universal or whatever we're going to call it. And the problem you have is this. Let's say the jury goes, okay, this guy's the guy who committed the act is 95% responsible. Now, he has no money.
None.
You know that. He's got $0. So let's say they determine damages to be $1 million. That means the person's actually only going to get $50,000. So let's say they had a traumatic brain injury, they had surgery, they had all these things that needed, and the medical costs are, through, just let's just say $5 million. And they go, well, the criminal was responsible for 99% of it. So the person who can actually afford to pay it,
who's probably in jail,
yeah,
who doesn't have a job, and it's going to be really hard for them to get a job after this anyway because they're going to be a convicted felon. Yeah, they're the ones who are going to pay you back. Good luck with that.
Yeah. So you have this idea that it's a scam. And what was most painful is during this period when they were passing this law, I was sitting here watching these congressmen, the ones who are on the take. We know who they are. You know who you are. When they say they were paid off by the insurance company, they were asked questions during these hearings. And some of the questions were asked, well, do you understand the law? And the guy would go, well, no, but my staff looked into it. Do you understand what's going to happen here? No, but my staff looked into it. Oh, the staff who took the big checks from the insurance company. They're the ones who looked into it.
Disgusting. Isn't that disgusting?
I think you shouldn't be able to vote on something if you're getting paid off by the person who's benefiting from your vote. Is that the weird thing?
You can't vote on anything because everybody who wants a law passed is petitioning their congressmen or senators or state representatives, whatever, with money and promises of favors. And I got this big voting block, and we're going to have all these great dinners for you and fundraisers. And that's really how politics work. And it never seems to benefit the regular working class person, And that's why people like us are so necessary.
We call people out, but here's the problem. We can also get sued for calling people out. We can be taken advantage of. These companies that will figure out a way to get you. They will go after you. So when you talk about paranoia and everything else like that, and you hear this old line, paranoia, is it really paranoia if people are actually out to get you?
I think the saying is, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not after you. You can be paranoid and they can also be after you.
The scary thing is when you go into a courtroom and people see these big verdicts, like there was a big verdict the other day on the woman who the hospital said her mother had Munchausen, and then the woman wound up taking her own life, and a couple other things. They awarded $260 million. Now, everybody, when they see that figure or they drive by a billboard and say $1 million to $2 million, they're disgusted by it. And the worst part about this, Wade, we did a mediation the other day. And the attorney on the other side goes, juries hate you guys, right? And you know what's interesting about that? There's an unfairness because we can't look over and go, well, you represent the insurance company. Because he's sitting there pretending he represents the person next to him. He's pretending. He's pretending.
That's not exactly true. And when
do you think juries think that he represents the insurance company?
Yeah, they know it.
No,
they know.
They don't.
I think juries. I've been in front of enough of them, and they're pretty damn smart.
You've never been on a jury, have you?
They're a lot smarter than everybody gives them credit for. And they know that insurance is at play. They know that a plaintiff's attorney is not bringing a case if there's not insurance. They're not dumb.
Okay, I've been on a jury.
I can't say it to them.
I've been on a jury.
But that doesn't mean that they don't know it.
I have been on a jury. Painful. It was painful listening to what they thought mattered. They go, oh, look at the way he's looking at me. He must have done it. And that was a criminal case. But it was crazy sitting there. They don't follow the rules. Oh, don't talk about the case.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, everybody knows they don't follow the judge's instruction not to talk about the case until they're deliberating. That's not true.
That $260 million Munchausen case, I promise you, at least one of the jury members watched the Netflix documentary while they went home.
That'd be interesting. What do you think? What do you think we should be able to do about that? So you're the defense attorney. Let's say you're the defense attorney. Do you move for some sort of relief, post-verdict relief?
You can't lock them up.
Listen, I need to find out if these folks while they were sitting on the jury, watch the Netflix documentary. It'd be very easy to do. You could subpoena Netflix or the cable company and say, hey, did this particular household access this particular movie at any time from this particular date? And if you found out that they did watch that movie, isn't it your obligation as a zealous advocate for your client, in that case, the hospital, to try to set that aside?
I don't think if I have any evidence, I can't just go after somebody's stuff by guessing. I have a feeling they might have done this. But no judge is going to give me that right.
Well, it was a rather lengthy or hefty award in damages.
It was huge.
Yeah.
Well, they could have just felt bad.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if it was California, we'd think it'd be $1 billion. But here it's, when that verdict was
Yeah,
260
$260 million in Florida. That's unheard
That's a
of.
ridiculous
That's
amount.
unheard of.
And I was thinking to myself, wow, that's a big one. But at the same time, it seems it seems a figure that's just a unbelievable amount. Because when you think about it this way, a lot of these things can't be taxed because they say future medicals, everything else like that. 200.
Well, I mean, the girl's mom killed herself. The girl's mom killed herself because of a false accusation. There isn't enough money, really. Right? What are you going to do with that?
So make it $1 billion. Make it $10 billion. $50 billion. Is there an amount? There is.
No, there isn't an amount.
That's why courts go back, and it happens all the time where an appellate court goes, yeah, it's too much. We're gonna cut that down.
They have the ability.
But how do they make that decision?
Editor.
How do 3 people sitting in a room, 3 judges who were elected for their political purposes, arbitrarily?
It has to be outrageous. Now the problem.
How do they determine outrageous?
Well, because they'll look and see what happened. I don't think they could say it was outrageous because somebody killed themselves because of this action. But if one of her toes had to be amputated, right? Let's say the hospital screwed up and her pinky toe and the toe next to it had to be amputated, and now she went into court and said, "Oh, my foot's disgusting. I can't get married now. No man's going to take me. I had a wonderful career as a foot model, whatever." Right? And they give $200 million for that. I think a judge or a panel of judges can look at that and say, okay, obviously something else was going on here. That's excessive.
My concern is this. We know that judges very rarely, can appreciate the concept. They have their own biases. They have this. Having 3 people come in and decide what the value of a case is. After
that's not exactly true.
Doing.
No, they're not deciding what the value is. They're determining whether or not this is so outrageous.
They need a base
that
first.
It can't be.
But
it can't be related.
But
to
they need
just
a base
the
value first, though.
Sure.
So they're making a decision without hearing any of the evidence.
No, that's not true. The appellate court reads the entire transcript. Well, they're supposed to read the entire trial transcript.
Yeah.
Theoretically, they read the entire trial transcript and are well-versed in what everything was said in court.
What's painful to me is when you appeal a case, you and I both know, sometimes they don't even have to do anything.
No, isn't that disgusting?
They go
talk about disgusting things. That's one of the worst. If I'm coming to you, right, Jeff, if you're the appellate judge and you're paid.
I paid you to do it.
Yeah, you're paid to be a judge, right? You have to take these cases. I think some other judge screwed up. I'm bringing it to you, and you can just say, I don't want to hear it.
I'm not even going to read it.
I'm not even going to make a decision.
And as a lawyer, I pay you to do it. I paid the fee. It was $1,100. I paid the fee. I gave $1,100.
Yeah, and they're also being paid by the taxpayers to have that
a good
job.
Amount of money too. They get paid well too.
Yes, they do.
That's 6 figures.
Yeah, it's a handsome job. Any attorney would love to have it,
and they could just give it to their staff, which they do anyway.
Well, yeah, practically speaking, yeah, that's what happens.
They give it to their staff. They give it to their clerks. They don't read them. Half of them go, "What's the clerk say?"
We're not going to take a look at it. PCA.
There's a term called PCA. And it means they're not even going to look at it. I paid you to look at it. And you're going, no, I don't want to. I don't feel it. And you and I both know, Craig and I have had these cases. And when you know the law, you're going, come on. There is no way.
At least
this was right.
Tell me how it was wrong. If I have a case, and of course, every single time a judge makes a decision, there's one of the attorneys is going to be upset, right?
Right.
Every single time. So it's not unusual for an attorney to be upset about a judge's ruling. But if I'm upset enough to spend enough time to write a brief, to pay the appeal fee, and take it to you, at least explain to me why I'm wrong so I don't make the same mistake. Obviously, I'm mistaken. You are allowing this decision to stand. Why isn't anybody explaining it to me?
And here's where the problem really exists. Sometimes you're absolutely right on your appeal. Absolutely right. There's no wiggle room. I mean, we handled appeal where the party was never served. Never served. Didn't know about the lawsuit. Had no idea about the lawsuit. His ex-partner answered the lawsuit for him. They weren't even together anymore. It's the ex-partner. So what happens is the judge defaults our client. Our client's going, I don't even know about the lawsuit.
I was never served.
I was never served.
I never filed an answer.
You're telling me a judgment has been put on me that I never had a chance to defend? They PSA'd it.
Yeah.
They didn't even say yes. They go, we're not going to look at it. So when you have a slam dunk that big and whoever's making that decision on the level goes, we don't care. And that's what a PSA is. We don't care. And that shouldn't be legal. You should at least have to say, this is the reason why blank. I paid you to do it. But this is how lazy our system is. And it happens all the time. And people think because, I watch TV, I understand. They'll just appeal. No. In fact, most appeals, what do you think the percentage on a successful appeal is?
I know what the percentage
Why
is.
don't you give us that knowledge?
85% of appeals are unsuccessful.
So 15%. And you and I both know 15% is not the number of mistakes made.
No. No.
So here's also something else. We handled appeal one time where this happened in a federal court in Orlando, and it went to the federal courts in Atlanta because those are the people who monitor that district. The judges
federal appeals court, yeah.
Yes, the judges in Atlanta told this judge in Orlando, you might want to flip this. And that's what they said. They said, please, we don't want to make you look bad. And I'm like, why do you care if another judge looks bad if they did the wrong thing? But they gave this judge the opportunity. The judge goes, no. Nope. Nope. I'm right. You guys must be wrong. So it goes back to them. They send it back to the guy. Hey,
we're really serious this time.
We don't want you to look bad. We're going to rule against you. Nope. Don't want to do it. Well, the judge winds up getting kicked, leaving the bench for some reason. And the judge who took over the job goes, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out. So the level of ego that exists when you have a job forever, you can't get fired out of your job.
Federal judges, yeah.
Federal judges, Supreme Court judges, awful. The concept of a judge for life, especially ones, for example, we have a judge in Miami.
Are you taking the position that they shouldn't have?
No, we have a judge in Miami who's in her 90s and can't show up to court.
Are you taking the position that federal judges should not be appointed for life?
Yes.
Because that's a different subject.
No, because here's the problem.
It's a different subject.
No, it's not a different subject in that these people, judges, who they don't worry about being wrong. They can't be nothing can go wrong with them other than that they get overturned. I mean, there's a judge in Miami in her 90s who's not showing up to court. And they're going, you need to give up your job. No, I don't. What do you mean, no, you don't? You can't do your job.
You have to give the appointment for life to federal judges so that, at least in theory, that they can't be influenced by the political wranglings of the day.
How about 10 years?
That's why you can't.
How about 10 years?
No, because there's a time limit.
And maybe they should only work for 10 years. Maybe there should be a limit.
That sounds like a more plausible.
You can only do this job for 10 years.
You're appointed for 20 years. At the end of 20 years, you're done no matter what.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that I could get behind. Either that or have the judge appointed for life. But you can't have them run. You don't want federal judges running for the position because then they have to cater to the people. And the people, hate to say it, in a democracy, the masses are not always right.
They don't get it.
They're not always right. There are nuances that can't really be explained on a bumper sticker. So if you're going to have judges run, if federal judges run for office, it's a bad idea.
Well, here you go. Two attorneys arguing, we're going to change the world.